It's Thursday, May 11th, 2017. I'm your host, Sarah Mantle. We have a great show in store for you today. First up, we're going to hear about how the town is getting ready for the busy summer season during our interview with Town Manager Mark Ells. Then we'll chat with Town Council Vice President Jim Crocker. And finally, we'll find out what's happening on Beacon Hill with State Representative Randy Hunt. All of that on this episode of Barnstable Today. But first, let's go ahead and get a look at today's top headlines. The Centerville, Osterville, Marston's Mills Fire District will hold a district election Monday, May 15th. Polls will be open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Centerville Fire Station on Route 28. The annual meeting will be held the following evening on Tuesday, May 16th at 7 at the West Villages Elementary School Auditorium. Do you know a loved one, or even maybe yourself, that needs to plan for future funeral preparations? Or maybe you're just curious about the process. If so, the Structures and Grounds Cemetery Services will be holding a presentation at the Barnstable Senior Center with other experts on May 12th from 1 to 4. All are welcome to attend the event. Admission is free. A dedication of the community shade structure recently donated by the Glenna Cole Fund for Hope will be held this Sunday. The organization donated 2 sunshades worth about $13,000. One shade will be installed on Craigville Beach and the other at Dowses Beach. The dedication ceremony will be held at 9:30 a.m. Sunday, May 21st at Dowses Beach. That event takes place just before the annual Piggy Trot, so parking will be at a premium. Early arrival is recommended. Up next, we're going to chat with Town Manager Mark Ells. So, Mark, a very busy time here in Barnstable. We've been working very hard on the budget. And, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it is May. So We're heading into the busy summer tourist season here in Barnstable. How are we doing? How's the town doing? Are we ready for summer? Are we ready for this?
We're always ready for summer. That's, we live in that world of, the 3-month focus and then the 12-month focus. So absolutely, we're out there. We've been doing a lot of good projects at our marinas and at our beaches and in our bathhouses, and we're trying to contain our road construction. So as we actually try to have road construction end simultaneously with school letting out. For a long time, it was more focused on Memorial Day, and I just think that's because it was such a milestone. But it's really, when do the kids get out, and then when will our summer residents and then our visitors come? And it definitely coincides in general with when school lets out. So anyways, we'll try to button things up on the major roadways by the end of school, which is around June 22nd, 3rd, 4th, somewhere in there, I believe.
Yeah, students are counting down the days. I can't believe it.
I think our seniors are, when's their, I forget what their actual
graduation
last day is, though. They're almost done here.
It's very close.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I can't believe
it's exciting
for them.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful time in their lives, certainly in their families' lives. So, we look forward to their graduation always. And but yeah, we're ready for the summer, and we're in the process of hiring our summer staff, whether it's camp counselors or coaches for our various rec programs, or our beach staff in general. I've talked to Patty Machado, and she's got her new aquatics director on, which she's very pleased with. And she actually has, I believe she said to me for the first time, she actually believes she'll have a full complement of lifeguards and lifeguard aides and beach attendants, etc.
That's good news, because I know that she had said in the past that it was really a struggle for some time to get qualified lifeguards who are trained to come work these positions.
It is, and so we had done that program this year where from the end of February into still ongoing on Tuesdays and Thursdays for anybody, but certainly from Barnstable High School, a bus ran to the Y. Basically from 2:30 to 4:30, they were in the pool getting, they're going through first aid, CPR, and lifeguard training, and so they either come out certified as a lifeguard or as a lifeguard aide, and they've had 2 of the 3 testings. I think all of the younger staff, incoming staff, have been tested, and then I think there's one more June 1st for all of the returning college kids, but I believe that most of them are already lifeguards. So
You know, that class was such a great deal. Wonderful to see that partnership with the town and the YMCA, because it is very costly to be certified and become certified as a lifeguard, and this was really a great way to really open that up to more individuals who are
Well,
interested.
it was because we brought the cost down significantly. I believe in speaking with the new aquatics director, they were actually able to do even a little bit more in-depth training with those who are getting certified, so they come out more prepared for what they, even though a lifeguard aide isn't going to do what a lifeguard does. They're not in the water for a rescue. They're more helping with control of things out of the water, but it prepares them for that. More importantly, it allows our youth to be employed in the summertime here on Cape Cod in something that gives them skills that is transferable to the rest of their life, whether they're going to be an EMT, whether they're going to be a doctor, whatever it is. All those skills, that training that they receive is directly transferable. And as they move forward in life, it's the potential for a real job out there anywhere, because we need lifeguards everywhere. Not just here on Cape Cod. So.
Absolutely. Want to talk to you real quick about another item. When is our assistant town manager beginning his position?
May 22nd.
Wow,
he's been
just
in,
around the corner.
It is. He's actually has stuff on his desk, and he and I met yesterday. We meet fairly regularly. I think that retiring from the military, you're certainly subject to the federal government's timeline. So a little bit of that played into his date here of May 22nd, but that's fine. I'll be happy to have him on board. I've got a whole schedule of tasks and committees that he'll be involved with immediately, and given his background, he'll hit the road running here. So I'm very excited to have him come on board.
Wonderful. Well, we can't wait to have him in and talk to him on the show.
Great.
Thank you so much for stopping by today, Mark.
Sure.
We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Our guest today, Town Manager Mark Ellis. Now we'll find out what's happening in Precinct 5 and around town in general during our chat with Town Council Vice President Jim Crocker. So thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Lots happening in your precinct, but throughout town as well. So let's talk a little bit about first stuff happening in Precinct 5. The Osterville Bay School, you're making progress on that.
Yes, it's funny, you look at some of your notes from being involved, and I actually had an original committee that I was sitting on from the Village Association, and 3 of us met with Park and Rec. It was Park and Rec back in '98. So first discussions about rehabbing the fields were back in 1998.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
so that has been a focus for some time,
yes,
even longer than I thought.
Yeah, it really, it's difficult because obviously the school budgets and what the school is trying to obtain for education puts a requirement on them on making decisions between money spent in the classroom and money spent out on the properties. But then as these properties move forward and become wards of the town, you really start to say, how will this property function for the village it's affecting?
Yeah.
And obviously this is a piece of property, 4.5 acres, right in the middle of the village. It abuts the library, it abuts Citizens Bank, so it's a very key piece for us. It was key to miss the kids walking through the village. All my family, my grandfather, mother, sisters, they all went to my daughters went when it was repurposed. But it's time to see something great come out of it, and I think the athletic fields for this end of the town of Barnstable will be very effective.
And of course, Town Council just passed funding the design and research phase of the project.
Yes, last year we funded the, I guess you'd call the money for the tear down of the 2 buildings. We're going to hang on to the small building because the town is going to have to make tough choices when it comes to building a new building there, so it may not be that year's priority, it may be the next year's priority. But to take down the big school is a big job because of really the way we have to handle hazardous waste today. So we'll do that in the spring, we'll lay off for the summer, and then DPW will come back with a contract and demolish it in the fall. Obviously, the building pushes right out to West Bay Road, which is a very visible high trafficked road. So we'd like to put the tennis courts back on, put a nose on the property, and really start a beautification process.
Wonderful. I know, I'm sure a lot of people are very excited
Oh,
to
the
hear
Village
that.
Association deserves a lot of credit. They've been very patient and they've been working hard at it.
Wonderful. I want to talk to you too. It's, of course, budget season. You guys have been
Yeah.
very hard at work. You've been in a lot of these budget meetings. How has the process been for you?
Well, under Mark Ells, it's as good as it's ever been. You know, I have a lot of years served now, and I got to say he's brought forward the best professional approach to the process. Obviously, we've always been fortunate to have Mark Milne with us for quite some time, but Mark Ells brings a different element from the manager's side, and I would say it's the most pleasant year I've endured for spending a lot of money and being responsible to the taxpayers for spending that money.
Wonderful. When I talk to you too, you've been really involved in the homelessness committee here in the town of Barnstable. A lot of work has been done. I know the community service officer program is being expanded this year. A lot of people have been very happy with that. How do you feel about the committee's work at this point?
Well, Jen Cullum is the chair of our committee, and it's obviously Jen Cullum's community that seems in her district that seems to bear the brunt of this issue. Although it's certainly a town-wide issue. We've had people in the woods, you know, in Katuitt. We've had people in the woods in Barnstable. So there's a homeless issue that's throughout the town. The work of the committee, though, really probably kicked off after, I think it was 2 years ago, we took a tour with the police department of the woods and realized who and how the woods were being occupied. And it was a time that I was ready I was totally appalled, and I was ready to take back the woods that day. We had people out in the woods who were perhaps conducting illegal business like the trade of drugs or whatever. And we also had people who wanted to drop out of society out there. But when you're walking around with a group of 8 people and you have 4 or 5 policemen with you, and including the chief, and they tell you, oh, well, let's not approach that group for straight discussions about how you feel this way, how you got this way, because they're not one of the better elements. Then you just say to yourself, well, what are we tolerating here? And again, I have to credit Mark Ells with saying, okay, you guys tell me enough's enough, let's go get the issue. And certainly the first phase was to clear out the woods and do a better job. But by clearing out the woods, you're really trying to find treatment for everyone who deserves it. So under Jen's leadership, we brought in all the nonprofits. We talked about the skill sets they all brought to the table. The LaRusso Foundation offered some money to get a coordinator so that when we identified somebody and their needs, we could get them into a treatment program. And everybody who wanted treatment, I can say, has seriously had an opportunity and has followed through with the treatment. We still have some of those that want to drop out, and we still chase them sometimes from site to site. But the issue in the woods has changed dramatically. After the issue in the woods was over, we started really talking about why is the clustering of services end in one area and we don't really disperse services throughout the peninsula, because we're very fortunate to have Cahare and some of the transportation issues available to us. And we need to do more to spread this so that people don't always have to just think of the nucleus and coming back to Hyannis for all these services. So that's the focus of the committee, I think, this year. And obviously keeping up with the standard that we've met in the woods. One very important thing was actually just passing some regulations that allowed us to post the woods and made standard for everybody to understand what rights they had and what they should expect when they pass public process.
Yeah, amazing what signs can do,
well,
right?
it also gave enforcement abilities to the police. So we had them out there trying to do some work without assisting them in any fashion. So we all have to work cooperatively to make a difference. And I'll tell you, the people the chief has given us have been terrific advocates of the people out there. And it's a very sensitive process, and I'm very pleased to say my town's doing their part.
Wonderful to hear it. Also, you're the chair of the Zoning and Regulatory Committee. What are you guys working on at this point?
Well, that's a small committee.
Yeah.
Well, what we've been talking about for some time is that we haven't been able to develop any affordable housing. We're talking that new growth dollars are the only way the town actually gets to expand its tax roll. So when you're the 4th largest town by area in the state, and you've only built 2 roads in 3 years, you're not on any kind of a furious development process. You're more looking at your infrastructure and your infill and where the capacity could be improved. we've started a number of zoning initiatives that always came from great ideas, but sometimes got maybe a little too specific such that they didn't invite developers or didn't invite the change that we were hoping for. So I think what the regulatory process is learning is that it's okay to put something out there and then tweak it, because we don't know who will step up. We don't know if banking regulations change. We don't know how to get the investment unless we keep working with the people and keep adjusting it. So that's all about the zoning side, because we want to infill, we want to build affordable housing, we want to do some good things with the zoning. And then the regulatory process, you know, it's unfortunate, but we've had a number of people call each of us as counselors and say, well, geez, I don't know why you guys made me jump through this hoop, that hoop, and how difficult this whole process has been. But I just don't believe it has to be that difficult. Well, I personally chase permits for a living in my building and construction side, and I too feel the frustration. Not for me per se, because I'm a small guy and I also work outside of my own town for permits. But I think it's something we can do considerably better on. So certainly having permitting going to the clouds is a plus. But certainly the way we look at this, these people who come forward are usually people who have taken the initiative to invest in our community, the very people I was hoping to find when we're talking about adjusting zoning. And we have to give initiatives to them and some positive pull so that they come back and say, you know what, I like doing business in Barnstable. Let's go do some more. And that's the only way we work cooperatively to build something new and build better communities.
Great. How long will that committee be meeting?
Only about 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It'll be a while, because hopefully we'll have some recommendation for zoning changes, and then we'll be looking at that for about change. What we're trying to do is bring forward people who have an accessory use to actually the counter for a building permit. So in other words, engineers, commercial brokers, people who always know what it is to get a permit and what they're trying to advocate for, but they can tell us something about what their clients are looking for, and we can try to smooth out those edges. When we talk to those people and go through that interview process, and we've already had a professional engineer from Baxter 9, Matt Eddy, great guy. We've already had a commercial broker, and we're going to have more. And when we have all these people, what we're trying to get from them is understand what are the short-term fixes that we as legislators can move. We're an adaptable group. We don't have to wait till town meeting. And what are the long-term fixes that may need real consideration, more committee work? And then lastly, what is the overall range of issues that we can address? So we have short and medium and long-term goals in that committee, and hopefully short will mean we can act quickly and make those changes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate hearing
thank you for having me.
From you. We will, and look forward to chatting with you again in the near future.
Yeah, great program. Thanks for having me.
My guest today, Town Council Vice President Jim Crocker. Well, we couldn't get State Representative Randy Hunt on the phone this morning. He must be busy at work, so we're going to go ahead and give you some great advice on some grill safety tips. COM Fire Chief Mike Wynn has some really excellent advice for us. So, Chief, thanks for joining me today.
Sure.
Very excited that we're finally here in springtime.
Yes, ma'am.
That means we're going to be pulling out our grills, maybe getting back outdoors. What should we be thinking about before we head outside to use the grill this season?
Great question. Thanks for coming, by the way, and thanks for coming to COM Fire. I think it's important for folks to remember that when you're grilling to keep safety at the front of your mind. Grills can be very convenient for cooking, and they're fast, they're quick, they produce a lot of heat, but there's some dangers that go with grilling outdoors. Specifically, we always advocate that folks keep the grills off of any decks or patios if possible. You can use them if it's a first floor deck or patio and there's an exterior stair, but we really recommend you use them off of a deck because that keeps them away from the home. We also recommend that you keep the grill 10 feet from railings or eaves of your house or a garage or an outbuilding, and then also tree limbs overhead. Grills should always be started with the lid open, never with the lid closed. And if you ever smell gas prior to the ignition of your grill, you think you have a leak, you should search that out before you continue with your cooking.
Well, really important things I don't think I had thought about before.
Sure.
I think I see so many grills on the back deck.
There's a lot of grills on the
Right?
back deck, and by code that's allowable. They can be on a ground floor or ground level deck or patio as long as there's an exterior stair that gets you off there another way away from that grill. But what I see is when you put them on your deck, it makes them closer to your house because most decks are connected to a home, and then you run the risk of having that grill have a problem with the house. So
Yeah, and we know how quickly fire can spread.
very, very quickly, super, super fast. And a grill was a great ignition source for a fire next to a house.
Great. So check that connection. If you smell any gas, make sure you don't have a leak.
Sure.
Start the grill with the grill cover open and
Always.
keep it away from the house, and make sure you don't have any awnings over top.
Sure,
Very
exactly. We even recommend if you don't grill year round, like at my house, we grill year round, and we'll shuffle outside with a winter coat and boots on if it's snowing. But if you don't use your grill year round and you're firing it up for the first time of the season, you can check for leaks very simply by just spraying a soapy water, kind of a concentration mix on the plumbing that goes with your grill, and see if there's any leaks before you ignite it. And that works really well in identifying
Now,
leaks.
how would that identify a leak?
It would make a bubble.
Really?
Yes, it would make a bubble. As soon as you turn the gas on, if there was a leak, the soapy water would bubble up in the vicinity of the leak.
Interesting.
Yeah, it works very well.
Wow.
Yep. So if it's been in storage and you haven't used it for a while and you're connecting it to your LP gas container, that's a good way to check for leaks. It's just soapy water on all of the plumbing that goes with the gas.
Wonderful. Not to put you on the spot, but
Sure.
also people are heading back outdoors. They're getting outside. They're heading to the beach. Anything they need to think of as far as safety when it comes to water?
Sure. You know, I would always try and use the recreational facilities that the town has here with the lifeguards. Patty at the Lifeguard Services, they do an outstanding job in providing safe areas for folks to swim. Always pay attention to the signs that they put up stating the weather conditions and the tide. Always listen to the instructions given by lifeguards if you're on a supervised beach. And if you have small children, always keep an eye on your children. That's really the best way to be safe when you're on the water. Pools at home, make sure your gates are locked if you have a gate around your pool or a fence around your pool, so children can't get near your pool. And if you have the ladders, you're supposed to take the ladders out of the pool when you're not using it on an above-ground pool. So.
Interesting. Great. Lots of things that we
Yeah.
need to keep in mind as we head into the summer season.
Definitely.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much
anytime.
for talking about grill safety as well as water safety. We really appreciate it, and
Sure.
we hope to come back in the near
Anytime.
future.
Yeah, anytime. I really appreciate it. Anytime.
Great chatting.
Yep. Thank you.
Our guest today, of course, Chief Mike Wynn from COM Fire.
Thank you.
Now let's find out what's happening around town in today's community calendar. Barnstable High School seniors will be flaunting their stuff at the annual Senior Art Show. This year's art show, Arctic Freeze, will be held at the Geyer Barn Friday, May 19th from 5 to 7. The public is invited to attend that event. The Hyannis Youth and Community Center will host a father-daughter dance next month. The event will celebrate the special bond between girls and their dads or any male role model. The event will include some music and dancing in the gym with refreshments and so much more. The event is geared towards kids in grades 1 through 7. Admission is $20 per couple. The event will be held Friday, June 16th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Well, there are no board, committee, or commission meetings today. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show for you. Tomorrow, we're going to learn about a great opportunity to try out a rowboat here in Barnstable. We'll find out what's happening at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center during our interview with General Manager Joe Izzo, and so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.